Hello, thank you for joining me today. We are going to do a nativity scene. And I did see, and I'm not trying to copy, Patty J. Good did this. And then I had been on Pinterest and came across these, and I liked how they were dressed. So I want to show you guys how I did mine. And I don't know how they did the ones on Pinterest, how they were dressed or anything. So I just came up with my own. So I will show you the fabrics that I used. And you could just use probably any kind of fabric you wanted. I liked kind of the natural, and then I had this one I will show you in just a bit with the stripe, and I kind of like that. And then I did Mary in a matching fabric, and I want to do, today we're going to do like a blue, and then I'm probably going to do some reds for a couple craft fairs I have coming up. So I will show you, and then I will give you some options for a manger. And on this one, it's lighted, and these lights I got from the Dollar Tree, and they are really bright. If I turn my lights off here, and we'll see if it will work. That's how bright those lights are. So they're for $1.25. I mean, even if you had to order a case on Pinterest, on Pinterest, even if you had to order a case from their website, you're probably going to use them. Or if you know somebody else that crafts that would like them, you could split a case with them. But you don't have to have the lights. I'm sure you could find other, I know there's fairy lights, if that's what they're called, and they're probably like in the wedding sections at Hobby Lobby and stuff. So I will show you the supplies you're going to need, and the manger, and then the stable is going to be another video. I'm going to show you a really easy way to do the cradle, because I had probably like 3 or 4 different ones before I seen this other one on Pinterest that is a lot easier. So I will go over the supplies. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to join my crafting community and click on that subscribe button. And then when you hit the bell, that will notify you each time I upload a video. You must have your settings turned on to get those notifications in your phone. If you already have subscribed, thank you. Thank you for supporting my channel. I have the best subscribers. You guys have stuck by me this last 1.5 years, almost 2 years coming up in January that I've done this, and it's been some ups and downs. So I hadn't posted a video for a while during the summer, so it just got busy and stuff with our cat. He got diabetes. So but thank you for sticking with me and supporting me, and thank you if you're not a subscriber and you're just watching. That is fine. Thank you for just joining me and watching my videos. I love to see the comments from you guys. It is awesome, and I have some awesome subscribers and viewers. So let me get the supplies and we'll get started. Okay, so I'm back, and I'm going to show you the supplies we're going to need. For the bodies, you're going to need a square or round. I like the square, and I'm not sure what exactly this is called or how big it is, but it's, if I were to measure it, it's about 1.25 inches square. And you're gonna need, I'll put the supplies below. So you're gonna need one for Mary, that's 4 inches, and Joseph is 4.5. And I just cut a bunch of these up all at once because we're making them for craft fairs. You're gonna need the wooden balls, and I ended up getting mine like at 3 different places, and you can see the difference on there. So if I were to put this, and this one sits, it's like fatter and shorter. This one is a little bit taller and skinnier. So to me, it doesn't matter as long as it is in proportion to my base, okay? And then for baby Jesus, I used a couple of different dowel rods, so that doesn't really matter. Something probably like this big, and I'm not sure how big that is, or this one, because it's going to be wrapped up. And then the wooden bead, I got these. I got a package of them for, and I think they were $5.99 at Hobby Lobby in the Christmas, and they were 50% off. And we're going to cover the hole, so you're not going to see that. I will show you how to do that. And I used a dowel rod when I did the staff to shape it. So it just made it a lot easier, and I had this big one. So anything maybe round, or if you want, if you can just do it over your finger or whatever. And then for the cradle, we're gonna need, these I think are about 2.5 inch long craft sticks. And you can get them, I think I got these ones at Walmart. You can get them at Hobby Lobby. So then we don't have to cut them, because this is part of the cradle. And I'm gonna do this one because it's very easy. So I'll show you how to do that. And then for baby Jesus, I used, for his blanket, I used this really pretty muslin that is kind of got like the brown specks in it. And then you can see the weave. So I frayed the edges. So I will show you how to do that. And then for Mary, on quite a few of hers, I used this fabric. So it's kind of like an upholstery. So you could look at your thrift stores, look at suits, any linens, anything like that. Or when you go to Joann's, look in their remnant section. You don't need much. And so that's what I did with hers. And I can show you that style, but the one we're gonna make, this one, it was more open in the back. The other one we're gonna make like this is going to be closed. So I'll show you that, how to do that one. And for Joseph, this was the fabric I used, and I got this at Hobby Lobby. So I don't think I've seen it anyplace else. So I like it. It's really pretty. And so I think you could do any color you wanted for the fabrics. And then I used this for Mary, for like her dress underneath. And I kind of got like a little collar, and I'll show you how I did that. This is all no sew, okay? And then today we're gonna do like the blues. So I'll see if I like it or not. I wanna do some red. So we got our muslin. And then I did do some of these on Joseph. I ended up using like a trim here that was burlap kind of jute, and then I put, this is like a brown suede, so it's probably like a faux suede, and just put that strip and glued it. I put this on first and then glued that over, but I'm going to do it this time. We're going to wrap all the way around, and then he is going to have his head covering too, and that's no sew. Okay, so let me get this out of the way, and we'll get our, so we got our 2 wooden balls to start with. And for Mary, I had her dress here. So we'll start with Joseph. So I took, and let me make sure I have you guys close enough. Okay, so for Joseph, I just frayed the edge and then one side, because when we wrap it around the back, you don't have to fray both. That's going to get glued, and that'll be underneath. And then this one is going to go over, okay? And I just kind of wanted it to show a little bit on the bottom, so I think I'm even going to cut this. And I frayed this on the top, but I didn't want a lot. I didn't want a long frayed edge. I wanted it to be shorter. So if you can get one edge to either fray, you can rip your fabric. So you take and cut it a little bit. And you can't cut a really skinny piece because you won't be able to rip it off. And then you rip it, and then you get that kind of frayed edge. Otherwise, if you cut it, if you can get it nice and straight, you can still fray it. It's just going to be a more blunt edge. And this is kind of wispy. It's kind of hard to describe, but you can see. So I just took it, I pulled out my strings, and you'll have strings everywhere. And then I just want, I gotta get these. I'm using Mary there. And then I am just going to cut, let me grab. Because when I would cut the fringe, I would do it on my leg. So it just made it easier. And I just want to, I'm just going to actually fray out a couple more. So by fraying it, then you don't have to worry about all these little pieces of strings coming out. And when you glue it down, it gives it a kind of different kind of look, but it just helps from having those loose strings when it's not frayed. So I would cut that down to a really short frayed edge. And then I'm going to glue his head on before we do this. And it'll be frayed at the bottom. So you're going to want the edge in the back that's not frayed. Just test it and wrap it around. If you have to cut some of it off. But like I said, we're going to get his head on first. So that's kind of long. So I'm going to cut probably 3/8 of an inch off. And that's going to come around the back. And if you have to bring it all the way over to this edge, that's fine. And then we can just glue it right down there. So we'll glue his head on first. And don't put too much glue, because when you push it down, it's going to squeeze out. And I've got a really bad spot, but it's going to get covered up, so I'm not worried about it. And if you got a good part of the ball that you like for the face, then make sure that's in the front. So we'll let that sit, and then we'll glue Mary's head on. And make sure they're centered. So we'll let those dry. And for Mary's dress, I want hers. Let me take one that I already have. Glued. So for hers, I wanted her to have this little collar, right like that. Okay. So I just took, and it depends on how tall yours are. I frayed my edge here, which doesn't matter. Well, it does, because it's going to come up like her neck. It's going to be in the front. And I frayed the bottom, and then I frayed one side. And this could even be shorter here, which I think I'll do that right now. So you can always cut more. If you cut your fray too short, then you have to fray it and get it even. So then I took, and I had my piece like this, and I folded it over probably about an inch. And then I folded it back toward the printed side, so I kind of had a little collar. And I'm just going to glue right inside here, just a little dot, just to hold it down. And I might even have to, before I glue that side, I might have to cut this, because I think it's going to be too long for her. So I'm going to use this one, because that one I took apart, it's got glue on it. So we're going to cut a lot off of this one. So it's going to depend on your size of your base for the body that you're going to have to how big your dress is going to be. And I'm going to fray her bottom a little bit more because it's a little long for me. So I'm just pulling out some threads. You can, if you kind of get where you're starting out and your fray is uneven, you can take, I have a brush that I was brushing, and then it would kind of pull the threads out. And sometimes your fray gets like knotted or whatever, so it's kind of hard. So you kind of have to work at it. If you can't get it with your fingers, then you can just take a needle and just find that thread in there and pull it out. So I'm going to cut the fray a little bit more. And I still want it shorter. I'm going to take a break and get this edge shorter. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I have it to where I want it. I'm going to take it and make sure I have enough to go over the back, and I can still cut this a little shorter. And I'm going to have this as her back. So the edge that we didn't fray is going to go underneath. And if you have to wrap it more, I think I'm going to cut more because I don't want to have to wrap it halfway around, all the way around the back. So just like that. Okay. So now we're going to get it. We have to make sure we have it even. So right about there. And I like it to come up and cover part of this on the top of the piece of wood. So just hold that and fold that back, and then put your glue right along that edge, and then press it down. And then we'll take and glue right there and right under here. And then you're going to try to pull it tight and make sure it looks good in the front, and then hold it and then open up that back flap and then put some hot glue on there and press it over. And there we have Mary's dress. So now we're going to do the same thing for Joseph for his. And get my needle out of the way so I don't lose it. And I've got pieces from Mary's dress. So his frayed edge is going to go at the bottom, and then he'll have one a little bit at the top, not much. But I kind of got his fray is a little uneven. So now we're going to do the same thing. You're going to wrap it around the back, and the frayed part is going to be on the outside. So then figure out where it has to be glued in the back. You can let that side go, and then run a bead of glue along that edge. And then fold it back and press it. And then this other side with the frayed edge you pull that pretty tight. And I'm just hanging onto it like this and running a bead of glue all the way down. And we have there we have both of those. So I'm going to take a break and I'm going to get ready for like their head covering, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I got Mary's, her wrap, her head wrap, or whatever we want to do, call it, coat. I'm not sure what it's called. And I was looking at Joseph, and I've has his, and I'm thinking this is too bright for me. So I'm taking some of my Tim Holtz Distress ink and just rubbing it on, just to kind of give it that aged look. I don't want to say dirty, because I'm not making it dirty. I want it aged, just so it softens it a little bit, because it was just too bright for me. So that's what I did with that. So for Mary's, I frayed 3 edges, and we'll see if I have to cut the back. And make sure you have the seam in the back. And then hers is going to get right there, and I like it to come so it overlaps in the front a little bit like that. I'm trying to get my fingers out of the way. Okay, so then we'll see if we have too much in the back, and we will cut it off. So what we're going to do is you're going to fold this in half and just crease that up in the front, where this is the front of her head. And then you're going to take and put it on, and then right back where you know it's going to, this is going to land up on top of her head, put some glue. Make sure you get the front. And you don't have to put a lot. And then make sure you know where that crease is, and then get that centered. And then just pull it and press it. And then we're going to overlap it. So we're going to take this edge, and you're going to put glue right. You don't have to put it very much, just so you know where it's going to get glued on her. And then we're going to do the same to the other side. So maybe line it up first so you know where it's going to land. And then do the same, put a little bit of glue, and I'm kind of going down and right here, right in this corner. And then press that down. And we're going to have to cut some of this. So I'm going to cut, and I'll tell you what the width is here when I get done. I think I had it at about 3 inches. Trying to find my ruler. So it's about 3.5. And I'm going to see if it's going to be too big. So first what we're going to do is we're going to bring this down. And then I would put glue up in here on both sides, so that is together so it doesn't flap out on us. And then these are going to get folded over like that. Okay, and then we'll probably cut this a little bit. So first, take and put some glue right there and press that down. And then up in here, put some glue in there. And then squeeze those. And then you're going to wrap one over this way. You can probably cut this corner off. And then glue that down. And then make sure you get glue up here. And then before you glue it, try it and see if it's where you want it to be, or if it's too long, whatever you have to do. So that's where that's going to be, but I'm going to take and I'm going to trim this a little bit so it's probably a little bit more straight. And then you're going to glue that edge down. And I need a glue stick. and then fold that over. And I got a little fray here. It doesn't matter. You can cut it off or keep it. If you want to fray that back, you can. And just check your edges and make sure you have enough glue. And so there's Mary, and then we'll do like something around her waist. And then for Joseph, we're going to do the same thing. And so you're going to have the back facing you, or I mean, it's going to be probably the other way around. I'm showing you. So you're going to see, and I just brought his down along the side. I didn't bring it to the front. So now you're going to take, and you're going to take it off. You're going to fold it. So crease, get this crease up here. And I'm just going to cut these frays right here because I know my other edge on the other side is really short. And then his back is facing me, so I'm going to take and put some glue right up here. And I know where my crease is in the middle of his head. And I'm going to put that down and press it. And then we're going to pull this and we're going to glue it along the side. So you can just open it up like that. And run a bead of glue down there. And glue it to the side of his body. And you're going to do the same thing to this one. These are very easy, so if you have to go back over and watch the video a couple of times, you can do that. I got to get this one to the front a little bit more. And then we're going to do the same thing for his. We're going to see if we have to cut it. So Mary's was about 3.5, I believe. And his is about 3.5, but hers was 3.5, and then I frayed it. So let's see. So yeah, his is too long also. So we're gonna cut probably a 1/2 inch or so off. And the back doesn't have to be frayed. I mean, if you want, it doesn't matter. And I'm still gonna cut a little bit more. So I will tell you what it is when I get done here. You don't want it to cut too much because you want it to be closed in the back. At least my first ones, Joseph didn't really have this long of one. He just had the little head. It was just a triangle piece is how I did that. And I can show you maybe at the end of the video how I did that one if you want to just do that. So now we can fold that over. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to glue it up here. Just going to run a bead of glue in there because then you know exactly where it's going to be down. If you put glue down here, that edge might not reach. Then you're going to put glue right up in these little pockets and squeeze those shut. And then one side's going to come over. So just put glue up here and along this edge. And then fold that over and press it down. And then do the same on the other side. If the video gets too long, I will probably do the cradle with the manger. And I'm just going to cut that a little bit. So there we have Joseph. So let me show you how I did his head wrap, the jute around his head. So I just took a nice long piece of jute, and let me get you close enough so you can see. Okay, so when I went to get you closer to see how I did his head, I had my camera on pause and that didn't get recorded. And you didn't get to see how I wrapped the stuff around his waist, which is not that hard. So I will kind of go over it in just a second. I put beads on I used a blue and a brown embroidery floss and some jute. I wrapped it around his waist a couple of times. And then I put some beads on just one string, one piece of the thread. And now I'm gonna just try to get a knot all the way up by the bead, and you'll probably have to knot it a few times. And I got my ends caught in there. Because you don't want your beads to come off. So you got to do a few knots. So I will show you really quickly kind of how I did the belt and the head, since you didn't get to see it. This is the hard part, is getting this knotted here. It just takes, it's not hard, it just takes a little bit because you got to do so many knots. I guess what you could do, would be kind of hard because you'd have to know exactly where this is going to land and do your knots, put your beads on before. You could adjust it, I guess. Okay, and then I'm just going to cut that off. And then we're going to cut this excess off. And some of this jute, because it just sticks out, doesn't want to lay, I'm just going to glue it down. Okay, so let me quickly go over how I did his head. Okay, I'm back. So we're gonna put a little bit of glue on the front here. And you're gonna lay this right on the glue. If it kind of oozes out, if it's too big, then just hurry up and wipe it off. And then you're gonna take one side, now you're gonna put the glue on the jute. And this is where it helps if you have a small glue gun. You're going to bring it till it meets in the back and either pull it so it gets pressed down or press it down with your finger. Then you're going to do the same to the other side. And then wrap that around. Make sure it's kind of even, the same as the other one. And then you're going to cross them, and they're going to go underneath. And if you have a bunch of stuff that's in your jute, pull it out. So now you can take and just put glue right along the edge of that first row that we just did. Right there. Until it meets in the front. So stop right in the front at the center with this one. And now go to this one and do the same thing. The glue is going to be right underneath that first row. And then bring that jute around to the front. And then you need a little bit more glue. And now you're going to cross them, and you're going to put glue right between those two rows. So you can go right on the jute. with your glue and wrap that around. If you want to use a thicker jute, mine is kind of thin, you can. So do the other side. You're going to go right on the jute, right between those two rows. And if you're using a low temp, you got to work quick because it'll dry. And then press it. And now you can bring them to the back and just tie them in a knot. And then if you want to glue your jute down, because it doesn't want to stay, it's pretty stiff. So you can put a little bit of glue on your jute and press that down. That other one looks like it might stay in place. We'll see. And then cut those off. And that's how we do his head wrap. And then when I did his belt, when I did Mary's, I just wrapped it around, tied it in a knot. But when I did his, I had the three. I had jute, and I had a blue and a brown embroidery floss. And I just took and wrapped it around. I leave a nice long tail. I'm going to go this way because it's kind of backwards for me. So leave a long tail. And then I wrapped it around twice. And then you can tie it in a knot. And we don't have to, I'm not going to probably put beads on this one, so. And then cut your ends. And then you can glue these down because they're not going to stay, because they're pretty stiff. So that's how we did that. If you want to put beads, you don't have to, okay? And I can't remember how, I think she was on this side. So that's Mary and Joseph. Let me get, I got to get the ones together that go together. So now we're going to do baby Jesus. And I got to find, let me find all my stuff. Oh, I'm going to take a quick break because I didn't cut for his clothes, and I will show you how I did it. And I lost my bead. I know some people don't like me to say this, but I really try to not do long videos, you guys. And people say, don't worry about it, doesn't matter, but it just takes me so long to edit it. That's why I don't like doing them. So, anyway. I know you guys love me. I love you too. Okay, so we have his blanket, and I frayed out my edges. This side isn't very good. And then for his little body coverings, well, we got to get his head. I lost his head somewhere. Let me get another bead. So you're just going to put glue on the top of the dowel rod. And this dowel rod is 1.5 inches. And then the bead, I really don't know what size it is. It could be, I don't know if it's a 1/2 inch. I don't know if there was any size on it. So I took a square, and this is a 2-inch square of fabric. I folded it in half to make a triangle. And then I'm going to glue that shut. So just run some glue in there along the edges. And this, I got at a thrift store like probably 5 years ago. So I don't know where you can get it. It's kind of a silky, anything will work. And then get the center, the point of the triangle is his body. or his, the front of him. So it's going to be like this. So you're just going to take some glue right along this edge and glue it down so it's centered. Turn it over, put some glue there, and right on those points of the triangle, and wrap it around. And then we're going to take another piece that's about 2 inches by 4.5. You know, I'm going to write that down because I'll forget. Okay, so you're going to fold this in half, and if it frays, that's okay. Just pull the threads out. And then you're going to just finger crease it. Put some glue in there along just like that long edge and the two short. And press that down, and we're going to put this over his head. So you want to fold it and crease that up there so you know where the middle is. And you can just put a little bit of glue on here on the front and make sure it gets centered in the front with his front of his body there, where the point of that triangle. And then you're going to glue these down. I have one side that's longer, so I'm just going to trim it. And you're going to glue the sides down right alongside his body, right there. And then you're going to do the same to the other side. And then for the back, we're going to take and put glue right up here and press that down. And right in those little pockets, put some glue and squeeze those. And then put glue there and press that over. And you might have to put glue right back between there because it wants to open up. So kind of like we did Mary and Joseph in the back of theirs. So you're going to fold that over. So right in between here, you're going to have to put a little bit of glue. And then put glue right along here. Probably go back up in there. And there we have baby Jesus. So the way I wrapped him in the blanket, and this is probably not a true square, so we're going to cut it so it is, and I'm not going to be able to fray that. Oh, I will. So we'll just fray that edge out. So you're going to take your triangle, and this is kind of a little trial and error. You got to see how you want to wrap it. This is how I did it. So I put him up here, and then I wanted to see where this was going to land. So it's going to be too far, so I'm going to bring this triangle down, and I'm going to bring that right up there. I'm going to take these two, get that out of the way first, and I'm coming down like this. Okay, so I have that. So you're going to do a triangle first like this, and he's going to sit right at the top, and you're going to fold these sides right along side of him. And then you can bring this up. You're going to wrap one over and glue that. So you can put a little bit of glue in there. And then you're going to wrap this over here so it's nice and tight. And you're going to hold on to it and glue wherever you need to. and then just wrap it around and press it. And then I did make a little jute bow. So like I said, the cradle is going to be with the manger because I'll have an 1.5-hour video here. I don't even know how long it is right now because it ended up stopping at that one point. I didn't start it again. So I'm just making a tiny bow. And then I'm just going to glue this right on the front of his blanket. And there is Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus. And here is one cradle I made. That's not that one's okay, but it's like big. And this is like my second or third one. And I stained this. And he fits in there. So that's another thing when you make your cradle. The one that we're going to make, he will fit in there if you do it these sizes. So, okay. So here we have Mary and Joseph, baby Jesus. So you guys let me know what you think if you are going to make these. I think they would be great at craft fairs. I sold 2 at my last one. It wasn't a horribly busy craft fair. I didn't make as much as I usually do. I sold a few gnomes, not as many as I usually do, but I got one coming up this weekend again. And then one the following weekend. Those will be my last 2. So if you have any questions, I'm going to put everything in the description box, what you're going to need. I'll try to do sizes, but it's going to be the sizes that I'm making. So if yours is bigger or smaller, you're going to have to adjust your fabrics and your sizes and measurements. But you can use any kind of fabrics, any kind of trim, however you want to do it. I wanted to keep it more natural looking. And I thought I would just try some color. So I like the blue, not that I toned it down with that ink. So, and it's not going to wash off. It's fine. So if you have any questions, the comments below. If you like the content and you want to see more of this, click on the like button. That helps my channel to grow. And if you haven't subscribed, I would love for you to join my crafting community and click on that subscribe button. Hit the bell and that will notify you each time I upload a new video. If you have subscribed, thank you guys for sticking with me, for being loyal, for your wonderful comments, for being here throughout this journey with me. It's been some ups and downs, but I enjoy filming and enjoy reading your comments. It's a blessing to me to have the subscribers and the viewers that I have. So even if you're not a subscriber, thank you for watching. So I will catch you guys in the next video. I love ya. Bye-bye.